If you're still feeling kind of blue, at least for this episode, I got you, boo. Even though Kasey Dunn went from a recruiting Blitnikoff king to a walking Molotov cocktail that has, unbeknownst to our resident fire chief, set stuff on fire, maybe we can't hammer the over, but we can still tap it, right? We can be happy or get happy and just tap it in.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things cowboy and cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. Here on Locked On Oklahoma State, you could be anywhere. Love that you choose to be here. Find us on every single podcasting platform, visually as well on YouTube, me personally on Twitter at AllDayOState. Today, we're brought to you by GameTime. Go get the last-minute tickets for whatever event you need in your area. Ladies and gentlemen, if we set the over-under on how many times I yelled at everybody in the world to hammer the over, it's at least 16 and a half, right? You can comfortably set that line there. But as we know that there's going to be some pessimism involved with the remainder of the season, given the fact that there's fires going on and we don't seem to recognize it, the players do, in fact, recognize that, there's a little bit of a fire. So the players have got to take a major part in us potentially coming through this. Guys, I know it's kind of wishy-washy, but there's still a lot of things in play. So now we're going to talk a little bit about, how to be Ohio Bobcats temporarily. So we'll go over some of the stats and what went wrong for Iowa State. There's some similarities here, obviously, that are going to potentially go in our favor. But we've got to find a way to turn the frown upside down. Not for the coaching staff. We know that's a little bit of a disaster. The continuity of the coaching staff, that can be a little bit of a beacon of light here. But the players have to be the ones, right? Xavier Benson put out a tweet about perseverance. We need to see it. But just like the Philadelphia Phillies, Trey Turner, who is a two-time All-Star, played World Series, right? He's done some things at the most important position in baseball at shortstop. Earlier this season, he was getting booed because he had a massive dip in what was not normal for him. And then a fan put out, I don't know if it was a YouTube video, tweet, whatever it was, but basically it said, guys, let's flip the script. Instead of booing him, let's give him standing ovation every time he comes to the plate. Just see what happens. And then he turns it around and he's on fire. So then he's getting standing ovations because now he's earning it. Let's try that approach. Right? People, they're talking about the Boo Birds, and there seems to be some, confusion as to whether the Boo Birds were at the coaching staff or the players or both. And clearly, there's a mixture of both because they were still booing at the end of the game and the fourth quarter and the third quarter when Alan Bowman wasn't in the game. So I don't think they were booing Alan Bowman, but there was some people in the student section evidently felt like it was mostly towards the coaches, but somewhat towards the players. Let's flip that script, y'all. We know this is the swan song for Brennen Presley. We now know this has got to be the swan song for at least some of the coaches, some of the players. I am hearing that some of the transfers are most likely sticking it out no matter what. Great news. Also hearing that a decent number of wide receivers are going to be here next year, whether Kasey Dunn's here or not. More good news. And we're luckily getting Iowa State. More good news. So if we pack a bigger set of pillows than them, we can win this game. And Ohio gives us the blueprint. Tulane gave us the blueprint to beat South Alabama. We decided to say, nah, we don't need that blueprint. Who's Tulane? Although, if we're going to fathom the idea of future coaches, which we're going to do live tomorrow evening, but this random dude named Willie Fritz has a pretty Lance Leipold style trajectory. All right. We could bring some Cowboys home. Everybody would love to see Zach Robinson back in some capacity. Maybe not ready for a head coaching gig. That's fine. I don't think anybody's saying that Gundy needs to go right this very instant. His press conference yesterday, it didn't help him. It didn't do him any favors, for sure. But there's an unspoken truth that's beneficial to the players. So they still matter. Their on-field production still matters. Their last 6 games in the house the Boone built still matters for a multitude of reasons. But if the Ohio Bobcats can find a way, then surely guys like Ollie Gordon and Collin Oliver, Brennen Presley, Talyn Shettron, Kendal Daniels, Josiah Johnson's got just a few more rides here. I still believe in Lyric. Nick Martin's been playing like a man possessed. We got to put stock in those guys. Again, for a multitude of reasons that we will get to, but for our purposes right here, right now, let's turn this thing around the Trey Turner approach. You know, sometimes they'll do the cheer chant, whatever you want to call it. You can't do that. Let's flip it. If you want to yell at Gundy, if you want to yell at Dunn, if you want to yell at the coaching staff, primarily those two, but realistically speaking, just flip it. Instead of saying you can't do that on the other team when they mess up, let's just say you can't oh goodness me. Please don't do that. There we go. Please don't do that. Gundy will know who it's to. Dunn will know who it's to. And we'll have some practice because this game gets to be in Ames, Iowa. If you see our buddy Trent Snitz, make sure you give him as much of a hard time as physically possible. But the pillow fight in Ames does give some guys opportunities. They need the opportunities, of course, yes, but it's all about capitalization. It was the name of the game for this season was capitalization by who? The man, the myth, the mullet, Mike Gundy. But if capitalization by him or Dunn isn't precisely achievable at the moment, these dudes, and we still have some dudes, they can be the beacon, the shining light to some semblance of positivity. So this is a partial Positivity Tuesday show. That's what this is. So maybe, just maybe, we don't need to hammer the over, but we can still lightly tap it in. We've already got 2 W's. We need 6.5. Now, there's no halfsies in this game, but we can get to 7 if these guys respond, and it's going to be on them. It's going to be up to them. They're the ones that drive all of the money, the W's, the over-unders. They set the bar. They set the lines. So let's have their backs at least. Let's give them an orange-flavored, Kool-Aid-induced opportunity to turn it around for themselves. Arlen Bruce might want to, maybe just do the football side of the over-under turnaround, and that's fine. But for you out there, you're going to have the opportunity at recuperating some of this this hurt here. Even if it's not college, if it's NFL, that's fine. Because NFL season is obviously here with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and the sports book of Locked On. Right now, our new customers get $200 back in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 back in bonus bets, win or lose. So, the Cowboy thing, you feel it. We can help you here. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's not a better time to jump in the action. It's secure, super easy to use app that has a lot of stuff you can bet on, from spreads to player props to money lines to futures, Heisman's, who's going to score next, the whole 9 yards, as they say. That's what we get. We get 9. NFL teams sometimes get 10. So bet on it now. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off your portion of the NFL season that you need. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, the official partner of the NFL. Alrighty, y'all. So we're not hammering the over, but we're also not going to try to stay hammered in this pessimism. In other words, maybe some negativity. Now, we're coming at you a lot today. We've got this show. We've got another show a little bit later on that'll post this afternoon with our buddy Reagan Harris from the podcast Markcast. And there's some, irritation, obviously. And irritation sometimes finds a way to permeate into the unintended consequences of negativity. So we talked about uplifting some of the guys because some of these guys can do the heavy lifting. We talked about the summer was real for them. Fall camp was real for them. Rob Glass, who is still a legend no matter what happens, graded this team out as the third highest rated development squad in the history of his time here. He's been here over 20 years. All of that stuff, that's muscle mass, weight gain, dexterity, quickness, lateral capability, side to side, understanding how to use your body and use points of contact, of leverage. All of that stuff got better. There's a lot of coach speak going around, of course, from the main man himself. And when he's, he says some things that are wild. He says some things that still have some semblance in reality. One of those being, this is talent-wise, probably the best O-line we've had since Wickline. I've been saying that for months. You guys know that. But they're not finding a way to use it right. Now, is that on the scheme? Is that on Dunn? Is that on play calling? Is that strictly on Dickey? Probably not. It's a multitude of things. But let's just find out. Let's find out who this is on other than the man that's in charge of making sure that everything is conducted properly. Let's run the ball at, I don't know, any other hole not named 1 or 2. Let's try the 4 hole. Let's kick it out to the 6 hole with a couple lead blockers. Maybe we don't need to pull the tackle, pull the guard, protect the backside. We can do that. But give me some Braden Cassity. Give us some Ollie Gordon and something other than up the daggone gut. Guys, Joe Michalski is serviceable. But we've seen it all offseason. He couldn't handle Justin Kirkland. He could barely handle Colin Clay. And he graded out the best, air quotes, right, last week, which is probably, again, a cause for concern. Jason Queso Brooks doesn't quite look like the same guy as last season or the offseason, but we know why. We know we're not running what they are excited to run. So let them run it. Let us run it. Let Ollie run it. And let's just see what happens. If a 3-man rotation at quarterback is suspect, then fine. Let's go super fun sketchy and let Ollie be back there. Justin Kirkland can lift the heavy weight. Colin Clay can lift the heavy weight. We need some more of the defensive ends. But Ollie Gordon can lift heavy weight. So can Elijah Collins, y'all. Jaden Nixon is ready to just be let loose. And if we're going to fail, let's fail gloriously. Let's chunk it deep occasionally. Run the ball, throw it deep. That predictability that we have, fine. Doesn't appear to change much. So if you're going to be predictable, just be better in your predictability. Be better. It will come as no surprise that part of the secret ingredient to the Ohio Bobcats beating Iowa State was physicality. Iowa State was bigger, stronger, faster, better. But they got out coached, out hustled, out physical. Well, we've heard this before. What we maybe didn't hear was what some of the people from Iowa State had to say. One of the most interesting quotes I saw from an article in the AP. Shout out-ish to the AP because they referenced this quote at the end to to a Mr. Carpenter, but not a first name. And I looked through the roster of Iowa State, the coaching roster. They're not really Carpenters that be popping up. So I don't know who this Carpenter dude is. And the AP didn't cite, but I'm assuming they meant to say Campbell. But the quote was, the simplicity of it is that their kids wanted it more. They were more physical. They were the more physical team. To win football games, I don't care who it is. I don't care where it is, especially on the road. The physicality's got to show up. The run defense has to show up. The lack of consistency, the lack of urgency, especially in some areas, continued to show up. This has been a reoccurring theme for Iowa State all offseason, all the regular season thus far. It sounds comparable, yeah? As it should. But here it is. Here's the blueprint. Tulane gave us the blueprint to beat South Alabama. We ignored it. Okay, so what is the blueprint here? What is the blueprint? To be an Ohio Bobcat for a Saturday. Iowa State's quarterback, Rocco Becht, threw for 233 yards, but he had 2 picks. Ohio's quarterback only threw for 135 yards. That's all he needed to do. 4.2 yards a throw. QBR of 77. Not great, but serviceable. We can do that, right? Gundy likes to, bring up the fact that when you combine all three's numbers, they're actually not bad. Well, so let's do this new word today, combinuation. Take that home with you. Let's combinuate and do more than 135 yards. That's possible. Iowa State only ran for 38 yards. That hurts. Okay, that hurts. But bright side, the Ohio Bobcats only ran for 112. We can do that. We can do that. Ollie Gordon can do that. Elijah Collins can do that. Jaden Nixon can do that. We have 3 running backs that have already proven they can do that. Yes, see, you're feeling the bright side coming today. This is your glass half full. It's still orange Kool-Aid, but nonetheless. Now, Iowa State receiving corps did bust out a little bit for 233 yards, but they only scored 7 points. So the bend, don't break philosophy worked out for the Bobcats. And their wide receivers at Ohio, they only, they didn't do anything super crazy. They did have a stud performance from their linebacker, number 32, Bryce Houston, 15 tackles by himself. So it might take a little bit of a superhuman performance by somebody to help out the continuity in the rest of the defense. Do we have that? Yes. Can Kendal Daniels have a crazy breakout game against this atrocity that is the Iowa State offensive line? Yeah, I know ours doesn't look great right now, but they Ohio kind of manhandled their O-line. See, glass half full. Collin Oliver could bust out, have a crazy day, 15 tackles. The way Nick Martin's been flying around, it's a possibility. Could a defensive lineman go off, get crazy, do some fun stuff? It's possible. Can we get 53 tackles? Yes, 100%. We might miss a few, but we can get there. Ohio had 2 picks. Can we do that? Theoretically, yes. With this quarterback, Rocco Becht, no disrespect, Becht, but yeah, we should be able to get a pick or 2. Definitely a turnover or 2, even if it's maybe a Collin Oliver causing a fumble. See, the plausibility here definitely exists. Their return game, they only returned 1 kick for 16 yards. We can do that. Punt returns, they returned 1 for -1 yards. We can do that. Ohio kicking, okay, they went 50%. We can do this. Punting, their punter was probably the MVP. You could equally maybe say the same for the other side of the field in Iowa State as well. It was a punt fest, not a slug fest, but a punt fest. We can do that. We've got a couple punters. See, guys, positivity. It may not be endless, but it's here because of the guys. Let's put this faith in them this time. If it fails to deliver and it fails to show up, okay, then the 3-alarm fire turns into a full-on, we might just need to burn it all down and rebuild brick by brick. I hate that Oklahoma State would even be in that position. We shouldn't. I mean, Gundy likes to fall back on. His fallback this year is, well, the fans deserve to be kind of upset. They need to chill out, but they're used to winning. We're a winning program. He keeps saying that. It's like he's trying to remind you that although we're getting outcoached 90% of the time, admittedly, by him, he also wants to remind you that we have like almost 20 years of pretty goodness. He's telling you to just be happy and be thankful. We should expect more. We should want more, and it's okay. But we should be thankful, at least in the guys. Let's send them off right. Okay? Even if it's just a bowl game, even if we turn this thing around like crazy and all these Ferraris that we do have get enough gas to maybe do something, crazy stuff has happened. It might be in spite of, as opposed to the assistance of, but it's possible. And we're going to talk about why it matters still to them. But real quick, we do have to talk about how it also matters to you to probably get the right tickets. Guys, when you need tickets, it used to be a whole thing, right? It was a whole shebang to get the necessities planned out and everything. You don't have to do that anymore. GameTime is going to give you the ability to get tickets instantaneously by your favorite events, and it shouldn't be stressful. Okay, it's fast, it's easy. You can buy the tickets. They got flash deals, last minute tickets, easy ways to buy the tickets. Find the tickets in your area, images of the seats before you buy them, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation, job loss protection. Who does that? Buy the tickets in a matter of seconds. Have them in a matter of seconds. No more dealing with the satchel, the man purse, the purse, none of it for the tickets. You already got it directly in your email. So download the GameTime app, create the account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, of course, apply. But again, create that account, redeem that code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We still need to fill up the stadium. We still need to help with the trip to Ames, Iowa. Again, for what? For the dudes that now need to maybe win in spite of coaching as opposed to having the benefit of. We can still say to some degree, in Nardo we trust. He's learning on the fly. Most of these other dudes are not learning on the fly. They're learning more than they might learn fly fishing, but something's off in the fly fishing department and the coaching department. So let's talk about the unspoken truth that is why we should still cheer these guys other than just the final swan song possible proposition. Like it, love it, or hate it, this next statement is realistic. Some of these dudes are now putting film clips together for what? For their future. Does their future involve orange and black? Maybe. Does their future involve the Big 12 picture? Maybe. Does it involve the Dominic Richardson and the Trace Ford gut punches that are facing them later in the Big 12? Maybe. Nobody wants to think that way. But it's a fact of life. Guys, this thing is not off the rails, but I think we all kind of see this is an extenuating circumstance of last season. The cancer clearly wasn't in the players last year, was it? The cancer is in the same place it was last year. It's the Gunn and Dundy effect. But these guys still are playing for something. They're playing for each other. They're playing for the statistical analysis capabilities that they can still put forth. They're playing for the film, for the betterment of themselves. They still want to get bigger, stronger, faster, better. And maybe they do more now. Maybe they do too much. Okay. We saw it with Mason Cobb being in the wrong hole, wrong gap, kind of doing his own style of thing, but it worked out pretty well for him more often than not. It was fun to watch. Maybe we don't get that from the defense because, again, in Nardo, we still trust the continuity of that staff. We think because it helped get the guys there, it can help guide the guys back to here, or at least through this rough waters. It's really hard to be excited about a big ship if it's already got a hole in it, right? If it's already hit the iceberg and you know it has a hole. It makes it more difficult if you think that you've got your coaching staff running around arguing about who's going to play the pirate and the captain today. But they can still make the ship operate. Because who's the ones making the ship go still, no matter what? It's the dudes. That's the horsepower. That's the men among bullets, or the bullets among men, that can take the saddle and help us ride this thing out to at least getting to that threshold of where we can still tap it in. We can't hammer the over no more. My apologies. But we can still tap it. Because our coaches may not carry a big stick or walk with one or talk with one, but some of the players still do. It matters to them for a multitude of reasons. We could turn it around, yes. They could individually get better, yes. They can put on film, yes. They can put their resume package together now, yes. In spite of the pessimism, the negativity, and the coaching, a lot of things are still achievable individually, together. A lot of these dudes still love being Cowboys. A lot of these dudes would still love the biggest turnaround we've seen in a while. But they also would love to see some support too. So let's do that. That's what we can do. Maybe there's not a lot, but we can do that. So let's do that. Swan song, tip of the cap, appreciation. We love you. We'll love you whether we win 3, 5, 8, or 10. We don't have to love the coaching that's happening. We don't have to love the Gunn Dundy effect, but we can still love the dudes. And the dudes can still love the process of getting better and it mattering. All righty, y'all. You know the drill. I love you. Of course, God bless. Go Pokes. And thank you for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could go anywhere, be anywhere, but you're here. Oh, and by the way, we've got some live action tomorrow evening with the regulators, right? The regulars on the show that are always involved type stuff. We also have the other episode to drop this afternoon, as well as give yourself a drum roll. Put the orange on tonight. We'll get rid of the blue, and we'll jump on with Greg Swaim, our buddy. All righty, y'all. You'll be seeing a lot of this face today. All right. Later, taters.